Okay, so I want to start with a very specific scenario.
Okay.
I want you to picture this.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of a project. And not just any project. I mean, just something you really, really care about.
Mm-hmm.
Something you've been, building in your head for months.
Mm-hmm.
You know the strategy, you know the layout, and honestly, you're feeling good. You're in the zone.
That is the best feeling, when the vision is just crystal clear to you anyway.
To you, right. But then comes the doubter.
Yes.
And it's almost never an enemy, is it? It's a colleague, maybe a partner.
Could be a family member.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
They walk up, they look at what you're doing, and they give you the look.
Oof.
It's not angry,
Right.
it's worse. It's confused. And then comes that tone of voice. You know the one I'm talking about.
Oh, I do.
It's gentle. It's so polite. It is just dripping with concern. And they say, Are you sure you can handle all that?
Ugh. That specific tone, it's not an attack, which is what makes it so hard to push back against. I call it weaponized concern. It just, it lands right in your stomach because it disguises judgment as care.
Weaponized concern. Wow. That's the perfect phrase for it. And that feeling, that sudden, jarring stop to your momentum, that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're doing a deep dive on this really insightful piece by Carrie Masadi. It's called When They Don't Believe in You, But You Do.
And we should probably introduce Carrie properly because her titles really set the stage for her angle here. She's a lifestyle encourager, a confidence catalyst, and I love this one, a sparkle coach for women ready to shine.
Okay, I have to be honest.
Yeah.
When I first saw Sparkle Coach, my cynical brain kind of went,
Oh, here we go.
yeah, okay, are we getting glitter bomb pep talk here? Because when I'm dealing with professional doubt, sparkle isn't usually the first word I reach for.
That's a totally fair reaction, but when you get into what she's actually writing, you realize she's using sparkle as a kind of Trojan horse for some seriously gritty internal work.
I found that too.
This isn't about, tossing confetti. It's about resilience. It's about what happens when you are the only person who can see the finished product.
And everyone else is just looking at you like you've completely lost it.
Exactly.
So let's get into the mechanics here, because Carrie makes a claim right at the beginning that I found, well, genuinely challenging. She says that when people doubt us, it's not because we're failing. It's not even because we look incompetent.
Right.
It's because we aren't following the standard social script of begging for buy-in.
This is the absolute core of it, Carrie writes, because your vision doesn't fit their box. Because you don't explain, justify, or beg for buy-in. You just move.
Okay, let's just pause right there. You don't explain, justify, or beg. I mean, in a corporate setting or even with your family, isn't that kind of dangerous?
How so?
Well, if I'm not explaining what I'm doing, don't people have a right to be a little confused?
Yeah.
I feel like there's a really fine line between quiet confidence and just, being bad at communicating.
That is the million-dollar question. And I think the distinction she's making is between informing people and seeking validation from them.
Okay.
Carrie is talking about the second one. We live in this culture of what I'd call performative competence. We're trained to believe that if you're doing good work, you have to be loud about it. You should look stressed. You should be constantly showing your work.
Oh, absolutely. The busyness Olympic Games. If you aren't completely frazzled, are you even trying?
Exactly. So when Carrie describes this person, someone who is steady, clear, prepared, that person becomes a disruption. If you're just quietly building something brilliant and you aren't looking at me with those puppy dog eyes asking, am I doing this okay? It short-circuits my brain. It makes me uncomfortable.
Because it disrupts the hierarchy, the usual flow of things.
It disrupts the dependency loop.
Yeah.
If you aren't asking for my approval, I can't give it to you. And if I can't give it to you, I lose a little bit of my power in our dynamic. So I project my own insecurity onto you. I ask, are you sure? Because I'm not sure what you're up to, and your confidence is unnerving me.
Wow. So the doubt isn't even about my capability. It's about their lack of control over my story.
That's it. And Carrie really nails this. She talks about how it shows up as polite sabotage.
Polite sabotage.
Yeah, the subtle questions, the polite hesitation. It's people trying to slow you down so you fit back into a speed or a box that they can understand.
The box. That's the theme that just keeps coming. It reminds me of cognitive dissonance. We have these boxes for how people should act, especially, I would argue, for women in leadership roles. If you're ambitious, you're supposed to be aggressive. If you're collaborative, you should be differential. But if you're just quiet and effective,
There's no box for that.
There's no box for that.
And we hate things that don't fit in boxes. It triggers some primal alarm like, this is different, therefore it might be unsafe.
But that's where it gets so messy.
Yeah.
Because even if we understand why they're doing it, the projection, the boxes, whatever, it still hurts.
Oh, it does.
Carrie writes, and still, the doubt shows up. It's so hard to maintain that steady, clear feeling when someone you respect is looking at you with, like, pity in their eyes.
It is. And we need to validate that. It's not just annoying, it's corrosive. It's like water dripping on a stone. Eventually you start to wonder, wait, am I the crazy one here? If 5 different people are asking if I'm sure, maybe I shouldn't be.
You know, this is bringing up a personal memory for me.
Yeah.
And reminded me of is maybe putting it too lightly. It's more like a flashback.
Uh-oh.
A few years ago, I was making a big career pivot, moving from a very structured, corporate role into something way more creative and undefined. I was in what I call the construction site phase.
The messy middle.
The absolute messiest. I had done all the research. I had the blueprints in my head. I knew the strategy was sound. But from the outside, I probably looked like a disaster.
I can picture it.
I was working weird hours. I wasn't answering emails right away. I was saying no to things I used to say yes to.
Yeah.
And I remember a mentor of mine, someone I really looked up to, taking me out for coffee.
Oh, no, the concern coffee.
The classic concern coffee. She sat me down, put her hand on my arm, and she asked, "Are you doing okay? You just seem a little stagnant."
Stagnant. Wow, that is a brutal word to hear.
It felt like a slap. Inside my head, I was building a skyscraper. My brain was on fire with new ideas. But because I hadn't put up the shanty facade yet, because the building wasn't finished, she just saw a hole in the ground.
Right.
And I'll be honest, my first instinct wasn't to smile, like Carrie suggests. My instinct was to open my laptop and, aggressively walk her through my entire 5-year plan just to prove I wasn't failing.
And that urge to prove it, that is exactly the trap Carrie is warning us about.
Is it?
Think about it. What would have happened? You would have spent your precious energy trying to calm her anxiety instead of building your skyscraper.
That's exactly right. But it's so hard to resist. Carrie has this one line, "Don't confuse their hesitation with your lack of readiness." That was the mantra I needed right then.
It's such a critical distinction. We treat other people like mirrors,
Yeah.
We look at them to see how we're doing. If they look skeptical, we assume our reflection is flawed. But Carrie is basically arguing that the mirror is broken.
The mirror's broken. I like that.
Their hesitation is about their vision or lack of it, not your reality.
She also says, don't make yourself smaller to make others feel safer. And I think that connects right back to that stagnant comment. I realized later that me stepping out of that corporate box made her uncomfortable about staying in it.
Bingo. If you succeed outside the system, it challenges the validity of the system they're still invested in. So subconsciously, they kind of want you to come back to the fold.
They want you to get smaller.
Because smaller is predictable.
So we've got this dynamic. You're building, they're doubting, you're tempted to just scream or over-explain. What does Carrie Masadi, our Sparkle coach, tell us to actually do?
Well, this is where the rubber meets the road. And her advice is, it's deceptively simple, almost provoking, really. She says, smile and keep going.
Okay, I have to push back a little on this. Smile and keep going. Isn't that a little passive? It feels a bit like shut up and take it. If someone is undermining me, don't I need to, defend my territory?
I totally get that reaction. In that moment, smiling can feel like surrender. But let's look at it through the lens of, say, emotional economics.
Emotional economics. Okay, I like that.
If you stop to argue, if you stop to explain, if you stop to beg for buy-in, you are spending your limited capital. You're leaking energy.
Right.
Carrie isn't saying smile because you're happy they're disrespecting you. She's saying smile because you know something they don't. It's the Mona Lisa smile. It's the smile of a secret.
So it's not a smile of submission. It's a smile of, well, superiority is the wrong word.
Insider knowledge.
Insider knowledge, yes.
Exactly. She writes, they'll figure it out eventually. That line implies such a huge amount of confidence. It means you don't need to force them to see it right now because the result is inevitable. You're playing the long game.
That changes the entire power dynamic, doesn't it? If I explain myself, I'm basically asking for your permission. If I just smile and keep working, I'm telling you that your permission is irrelevant.
That's it. And that requires a massive shift in how you see yourself, which is why I think Carrie uses such strong labels in the post.
Oh, yeah, the label.
She calls the reader a builder, a leader, a force, a superhero. She's trying to drag you out of the mindset of being an employee seeking approval and into the mindset of being the architect of your own life.
And we have to talk about who she's speaking to here. The tags on the post are things like over 40 life, women empowerment, leadership. She even mentions decades of wisdom. This isn't advice for a 22-year-old on their first day at a new job.
No, and that context is so important. If you are new, then yeah, maybe you should listen to the feedback and check your work. But Carrie's talking to women who have put in the reps. She says, you've got decades of wisdom they'll never understand unless they have lived it.
That part really hit me. There's a specific kind of exhaustion that comes from having to reprove your competence every single day, even though you have a 20-year track record.
It's institutional fatigue. You've built the bridges, you've led the teams, and yet because you're doing something new or different, you get treated like a novice. Carrie is saying, lean on that history. Your own history is your evidence. You don't need their validation because you have your own data.
You don't owe the world an explanation, but you do owe yourself the freedom to stand fully in who you are. That was the line that just stopped me in my tracks.
It's so powerful because it reframes the obligation. We usually feel obligated to be understood. We think, if they just understood me, then it would be okay. Carrie says, no. Let go of the need to be understood. Replace it with the need to be authentic.
Which is, let's be honest, terrifying.
Yeah.
Being misunderstood is a very lonely place to be.
It's deeply lonely, which is why she uses those big words like force and superhero. Superheroes are almost always misunderstood. They often have to work in the shadows or keep their identity a secret until the moment comes to save the day.
The Clark Kent effect. He doesn't go around the Daily Planet bending steel bars just to prove he can. He just knows what he can do.
Right, and he waits until it matters. Carrie captures that perfectly when she says, you don't need applause to keep moving. If you're waiting for the applause to start doing the work, you're never going to start.
The applause comes at the end.
Exactly. Leadership, true, quiet leadership, is the ability to work in the silence before the applause.
I love that idea she has that the scoreboard hasn't caught up yet.
Yes, she implies that the points are already on the board. You've already done the work. The skill is there. The vision is solid. The fact that the external scoreboard, the public recognition, the promotion, the approval hasn't updated yet is just a lag.
A lagging indicator, to use a nerdy term.
That's it. And you don't panic because of a lag. You just keep playing your game.
So, practically speaking, I want to bring this down to earth. We have listeners right now who are probably going to deal with this polite sabotage at work tomorrow morning, or maybe at the dinner table tonight.
Oh, it's happening right now for sure.
How do they actually do this? Because that urge to snap back or the urge to just crumble and say, you're right, I'm just dreaming, it's so strong. How do we access that sparkle coach energy when we feel totally dull?
I think it starts with recognizing the voice of the doubt for what it really is. When you hear that question, are you sure?
Yeah.
You have to translate it in your head.
The translation tool. Okay.
Don't hear, you are incompetent. Hear, I am uncomfortable with your growth.
I am uncomfortable with your growth. Wow, that's a good one.
Once you reframe it as their discomfort, it's so much easier to detach. You don't have to fix their discomfort. You just have to manage your own reaction to it.
And I think finding that inner whisper Carrie talks about is so key. She says self-belief doesn't have to be some big roar.
Yeah.
It can just be a whisper saying, keep going. You've got this.
That's crucial. We think confidence has to be this loud, chest-thumping swagger. But real, quiet confidence is sustained by that whisper. And frankly, sometimes you need an external voice to remind you that your internal voice is right.
Which is why resources like Carrie's are actually so valuable, despite, or maybe because of, the sparkle branding. It's a counterweight to all the cynicism out there.
Absolutely. If you are constantly surrounded by logic that's telling you to stay in your box, you need a voice that tells you it's okay to break out of it.
Speaking of which, if this whole conversation is hitting a nerve, if you're sitting there nodding along thinking, yes, I am currently in the construction site phase, you should really see what else Carrie has to say.
She has a whole toolkit for this stuff.
You can read the full blog and discover more of Carrie's favorites and Sparkle tools at thesparklelounge.com. That's thesparklelounge.com. It's a great place to go if you need to recharge that battery.
And honestly, in a world that can be obsessed with grinding us down, a little bit of sparkle, a little bit of defiant joy is actually a pretty radical act.
Defiant joy. I like that. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a challenge. It's the question Carrie leaves us with, and I want you to really sit with it.
It's the question that determines whether you finish the building or you just leave it as a hole in the ground.
Think about your, they don't get it, but I've got this moment. We all have one. Maybe it's a startup idea, a parenting choice. Maybe it's just a new way of showing up at work. Are you still wasting your precious, limited energy trying to explain it to people who are committed to misunderstanding you?
Or are you ready to stop begging for their buy-in?
Are you ready to just smile, turn your back to the audience, and get back to building?
The scoreboard will catch up eventually.
It always does. Thanks for diving in with us. Keep building, keep shining, and don't let the polite doubt slow you down.
We'll see you next time.